Hey everybody, how's it going? Um, I got it's now the latency on this thing. I set it to ultra low. It took me about almost 2 years of streaming to figure that one out. Well, a year and a half of streaming to figure out that you can actually set things to ultra low latency mode, and that actually makes everything go way faster. So, hopefully you guys can see me almost in real time here, and I think my audio is good because I heard myself within a second of streaming this thing. So you guys are seeing this almost exactly live rather than what it was before where there's like this 30-second crazy delay. Now we are actually getting it on. How's it going, Hasselhoff? How's it going, Hogwick? Welcome in. Vatican Shotgun, how you guys doing? Welcome into the chat. Matthias, welcome back. Welcome in, guys. Welcome in. Okay, it has been a moment. I've been on holiday, and now we are going to be doing some fun visual effects, set extension work. Again, we're starting this new series. We finished one last week. It was a CG Blender render, and then this week we're getting in on a new one. Let's make sure I mute it on like everything so that way you guys aren't hearing echoes. How's it going, Okaisido? How's it going? How are you guys all doing on this wonderful Sunday afternoon here in California? It is at least a Sunday afternoon. Let's get some music on first, some chill, just background music, and then we can start to get in on, I don't like that song very much, but we can start to get in on doing some camera tracking and some stuff like that. Guys, I am a well-traveled man now, okay? I've been around the world, as they say. I spent some time over in New Zealand for the last couple weeks, as well as Australia. Wonderful countries over there. I got to see Hobbiton and like the Lord of the Rings stuff over there. That was super fun. If you guys have never been, then 1000% recommend try to get yourself over there sometime and see the beautiful sights. Gorgeous area. I went with some friends, one of which, Vatican Shotgun, here in the chat. And we got to see the places. We got to see the lands, man. And now we're going to be creating our own lands here in CG Visual Effects land. So let's go ahead and just check out what we've got here. So this is the VFX shot right here. I've already created a VFX plate for it. If you guys want to watch a tutorial on how to make proper ACES CG VFX plates, I have a tutorial for that already. It's on the YouTube channel, so go ahead. And first, hit the subscribe button if you guys aren't already. We are almost at 2,000 subscribers, which is crazy. Share it with your friends. If you guys have any friends that want to learn visual effects or just like to watch a goober like me try to do visual effects, then send this channel over to them, and then hopefully they can join the gang. But this is the VFX shot that we're doing today, which is a bit of a handheld shaky cam shot. I thought it might be a fun little challenge to get some good camera tracking in this. And then also on top of this, we're planning on doing some set extension work. I was thinking it'd be fun to create kind of like this rustic Star Wars-esque space station, kind of like overarching this entire thing and built into the land, and then they're kind of gonna run into like a bit of a tunnel here as they're running. I thought that would be kind of fun to do, and then it's going to be a mixture of camera tracking for like the 3D aspect of it. We're going to take it into Blender, build some 3D layout environment for it, and then we're going to do matte painting work onto it to build this into the scene. So we're essentially going to be creating a 3D matte painting workflow here and do some projection inside of Nuke. I think that would be a fun little workflow to go with. The other thing we could potentially try, I was thinking about this, we'll take it into Blender to do all the modeling, but we can then take it back into Nuke, just the 3D models of it. And we can actually potentially use the 3D system here inside of Nuke. I haven't messed around too much with the 3D system inside of Nuke, so this might be a fun challenge to do. But you guys let me know what you guys think as far as that's concerned. But if you guys want to grab this footage here, go to Action VFX's link in the description. They have practice footage, and there is this specific shot that we will be using here today. You guys can grab that for free. It's free practice footage. And then, of course, Blender's free, or whatever 3D software you guys use, and you guys can do it that way. Try to learn 3D clean plating and projecting. Dude, yes. But it's fun though in Nuke. I feel like Nuke, it's actually fun. Whereas if you're trying to do, you can't really do projection in After Effects, at least not to my knowledge. But it's just a nightmare to do clean plating inside of After Effects for, 3D work. Okay. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get started here. We're starting on frame 1000. I'm going to just add in a little camera tracker node. And I'm going to use the classic still for tracking. When we bring it back in, potentially we can just import the camera from Blender. But I prefer the classic system right now, and that way we're not like stuck inside of using classic or the new version or what. 3D space in After Effects is horrifying. It really is, dude. I remember when they were adding it, I was super excited. Okay, let's actually look up to see if we have any data on this. I know that potentially they may have told us what camera was used on this. I'm going to go to Action VFX. Let's find this practice footage here. I'll accept the cookies for right now. I like cookies. Who doesn't like cookies? Here it is. And this is the shot we're using right here. Don't know. It's possible they gave us the lens information on this. 35 millimeters. So inside of Nuke, let's go ahead and plug that in. So instead of saying unknown lens or unknown constant, let's do approximate constant. And then let's say it's 35 millimeters. Whoops, 35 millimeters. I haven't known if this is better or worse to do it this way. I don't know if this approximate thing actually does a better job or not. To my knowledge, I've kind of like seen that it works pretty well. So I was like, oh, okay. And it's been on a couple shots that I've tested it. There was one shot where it didn't work at all, but the camera wasn't moving all that much. And it kind of like put all the tracking markers as if it was just like a picture that it was trying to track. And it did not work super great. It'd be really cool if you do some World War II VFX, maybe a dogfight, or add a CG German tank into the scene. I think that was one thing I was planning. Oh, that's right. Good reminder. I was planning on actually adding like some kind of spacecraft right here. Might actually be cool to add a tank. I could add a tank and then just do... It's undecided what we're building. So like, I like this idea. Maybe we do add a tank or something like that into the scene. That'd be cool. I like that idea. I do have access to some cool tanks, so I might as well use them. I'm going to just roto out this guy here now, and then let's just go to the first frame and then to the last frame here. Whoopsies. And I'm just going to just do a rough estimation of him. It's just a garbage mask, really. What is going on here? Are we keyframing? I don't see keyframes popping up. There we go. I think it was because I had too many. I'm going to set that to 1. I always like to just have 1 on my properties at a time. It's too much for me to handle, man. If I want more than 1, I'll add more than 1 incrementation to the top of my workspace here. But it's like sometimes, dude, I like to start out with 1. On my work computer, I actually have its default set to always just be 1. And so every time I open up Nuke, which, you know what? Let's do it right now. Screw it. I've been wanting to do it. Might as well do it on stream. You know what I'm saying? I think it's under startup. I'm going to first set that to 2 screens because I always like to have 2 screens when I start up. And I feel like node graph or something like that. Where is that at? I'll look for it later, I guess. There's a way to set this to be your default value, and I don't know how to do that, where I just want to have it only have 1 ever rather than multiples. Let's see. A World War II reenactor on weekends and VFX artist as living. Ooh, World War II reenactor. What does that entail? Is that like a kind of like a historian job almost type of thing? Where you kind of like answer questions to like tourists about, you know, different, like I guess, whatever location you're at. Like they have those here in like the US where they have like Gettysburg reenactors basically. And so they'll have people at like the Gettysburg that kind of, I guess, don't know if they reenact it or if they're really, they're more like kind of like answer touristy questions to people about like what happened at different locations and stuff like that. Or is it just a hobby of yours? That's a fun hobby. My uncle was really into like kind of like the Gettysburg. Well, he was just into history in general, but he lived near Gettysburg, and he would go there all the time, and you know, talk to like the different reenactors. But he knew a lot himself, and actually would kind of like shock people about his knowledge on different topics. I think that's just kind of like a fun thing. Did you add me to the house? Oh, to the house. No, I said you could grab the 3D files and then you add your picture to the house. Okay, now that we've got this roto done, I'm going to make sure it's pre-multiplied. And then inside of our camera tracker node here, I'm going to our mask settings, and we're going to do mask alpha. And we're going to use the mask alpha. Let's go to settings, and we're going to preview. And you'll notice that it's putting these little yellow, it's a little hard to see. I don't know. This terrain is kind of weird, man. It's hard to see the camera tracker stuff, but it's putting it everywhere except for on our people. Because we're using that roto to tell the trackers not to be in that specific area. I also like to increase the number of our features to a larger number, so that way it kind of distributes it throughout the entire scene quite a bit more. And so now using this roto, we're kind of blacking out where those people are. And let's go ahead and try tracking this. So go back to our camera tracker and make sure that we're using free camera, unknown lens, and our approximate constant is 35 millimeters. If we have the film back size, we might be able to plug that in too, right? Let's go look at this. So we know it was shot on this. I'm wondering what the film back is, because I don't know that they have that here. We may be able to get it from the user manual. This can be helpful to make your tracking just even more precise. I think it's this. Wait a second. What camera are we specifically using? Oh, yeah, gotcha. Just want to make sure that they weren't listing multiple ones here. So we have this value. Which I believe that's correct. The sensors allows for anamorphic lenses, so 30.72 millimeter by 18 millimeter. See how that works. 300 is definitely not the correct number though. Let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to hit the save button and let's just see how well this works. I don't always go in here, and sometimes I just let it not know what the values are. I don't try to do approximate constants. So depending on how this works, sometimes I'll just turn this back off and I'll just say unknown constant, because I know that it's not a variable lens where they're zooming in or zooming out. That's the only time you'll want to change that to the variable lens. In this particular case, we kind of have a little bit of the information, so we could try plugging it in. The best way to do this, which they didn't do on this particular lens, as far as I know, is to actually have the camera shoot lens distortion charts, because then you can undistort your footage, and then you can camera track the undistorted footage. That is probably the best way of going about doing this. So anyways, this is good. Let's hit the solve button now. So after we got our track finished there. And wow, look, our error is already a 1.23, so it's pretty close to, you know, a pretty good value. Ideally, if you're doing CG, especially integrated into scenes and like handheld camera shakes, it's like really precise. You're going to want this number to be less than 0.3, so 0.3 in order to get that number down. So we're going to go to all auto tracks here to be able to adjust our values. So let's go ahead and first just delete rejected, delete unsolved. That's going to get us to a 0.8. I'm going to delete our max values. We're just going crazy here, right? Like, I will probably delete too many at some point. But as long as we see this blue line here all the way throughout, which it looks like, the great thing about this scene, there's no camera trackers in the actual shot, but it's rocks everywhere. So you have high contrasty points, and things like this are really good for tracking points, right? Like little very contrasty points that the the computer can catch on to track. So sometimes you don't need to throw camera trackers into your scene, you know, if you've got enough information in your scene. But if it's like a smooth white wall, then maybe, yeah, you should throw some camera tracker is in there. But in our particular case, we're using someone else's footage, so, you know, there's not much choice for us. Let's see, what did you say here? World War II living history, like I'm doing German, so me and groups, I have German soldiers in different places. High quality repo and original gear, so we're trying to live like the soldier. Oh, that's interesting. But of course, with respect, and yes, we're doing German and sometimes the SS, but of course, not with the... Okay, we attend battles and things like that, shooting with real firearms and tanks. Oh, that's interesting. Well, that is very cool, actually. Okay, let's see. We're so close. We're at 0.3. Let's try to get rid of one more nasty, bad camera tracker there. Okay, we're at a 0.3, and we've got good. We could probably get it even better, but I think I'm happy with our results here. Now, there's a couple things that we're going to want to do. First, the computer doesn't understand what up, down, right, left is, so we're going to select a couple of our tracking markers that we have here that are well distributed throughout our scene here. And I'm going to right click them and say ground plane set to selected. And it'll make them purple. Okay. Next we're going to do is we're going to set this to scene plus. We'll keep link output for now. We'll probably disable that later. And now if we go look at our footage, you'll notice that it's going to undistort our footage, which is super great and will allow us in CG to be able to recreate our environment and project everything onto it. And since it's a barrel lens, I think this is a barrel lens, we're actually going to, it's going to distort it, undistort it very properly for us and make it super easy. There's a couple things I do want to do since we're in this stage right now. I'm going to copy paste our distortion node over here. I haven't done this on previous videos, so this will be kind of new, but I have found this to be a very useful part of your workflow coming in later on when compositing. It'll make everything run way smoother, way faster for you later. But with this new lens distortion that you have here, let's change this mode from undistort to STMap, and then we're going to use a shuffle node. Now this took a little bit of R&D because there's tutorials online about doing this first portion of it, but not for the second portion. When you set this to an STMap right here, it's going to create vector data that, it's vector data inside of your distortion node that we can then use to create what's called an STMap. An STMap is essentially a color gradient image that will tell us where we're supposed to map our footage to. It's kind of doing what this lens distortion is actually doing, where it's actually saying what the denominator of the S value is and so on in order for you to be able to undistort your footage, but it's doing it with just an image file, like a EXR file in our particular case that we will be doing. So with our shuffle node, we need to be able to shuffle those values into something that we're going to easily be able to read. Because right now it does exist, but it's not on the RGBA. So let's go view this, for instance. Right now we just have kind of like this black image here. Oh, the first thing we're probably going to want to also do before we get to that is let's go to our property settings inside of Nuke. And then I'm going to change our full size format here to reflect the 2048 by 1080 that is on our footage. So let's do that real quick. 2048 by 1080, where's that at? I think it's like 2K DCP. Yeah. Okay, great. So now if we go view our shuffle node now, it'll be the correct aspect ratio of what we're going for. And the lens distortion STMap is here, but it's not visible on the RGBA. So we just need to set this to forward, and we're going to set the U value to red and the V value to green. And it's going to create kind of like this colorized gradient of an image with the exact same kind of like cropping that we saw before with our distortion node, but it's going to do it just on our RGBA channel with this colorized kind of like method. This is an STMap. This is called an STMap. So we're just going to output that. But you're self-taught nuke artist, right? I think we all are. Yeah, pretty much. feel like some people go to university for it, but I didn't. So here's the right node. We're going to add in a right node now, and then let's go ahead and export this. I'm going to export it to a new folder that, let's just create a materials folder. And I'm going to create one called STMap. And in this STMap, I'm going to call this undistort. And then undistort. I think we just call it undistort. That's fine. Undistort.exr. Okay. And we'll save this as our scene linear, which should just be AsysCG. We'll just plug in AsysCG for our own sanity's sake. But it's just going to be an EXR file of the undistortion of this lens. Okay. So now if we render that out, we're just going to render out frame 1000, the first frame. And then we're going to copy the shuffle and the right node over here. So this, if we go ahead and import it now, it's just an EXR file that doesn't have to do the calculations of this undistortion later. It just is an EXR file, right? And it's going to do the same thing as this undistort does here, but with what's called an STMap. So we'll plug in an STMap into our source the exact same way that this lens distortion node is here. Okay. So if we go view this on 1 and then we view this on 2, you'll notice first that we have a problem. We'll plug the STMap in as well. The problem is that it's not undistorted. And that's because under your UV channel, you just need to be able to select RGBA. I think you can also select RGB. It does the same thing. And so there you go. It's going to do the exact same method as what we were getting before. It's just created kind of like this weird color on the outside of it. But don't even worry about it. Doesn't matter, because when we redistort it back, that's not going to be visible whatsoever. But this part right here is pretty straightforward. We're just using an STMap with this undistort STMap that we just created. Now we need to create a whole new STMap, just as we did before. So plug this shuffle node into the lens distortion here. The only difference is now we're going to swap this from forward to backwards. And when you swap it to backwards, it's going to create it into the entirety of the image here. And now let's go double click our right node here. And let's just type in redistort. And let's just render that out. Same 1000. Re-import that. And so now if we copy this STMap, plug the source into that, plug this STMap into this guy, it should be undistorting it first, and then it's going to take that undistorted footage and then plugged it into this STMap here, which will then be redistorting it according to this. So now if we view this and we view our regular image, you'll notice that we are redistorting our footage. Now, unfortunately, with STMaps, you're going to get a little bit of an issue with some degradation in your image, but this is a great way of taking your CG footage later and being able to use that. We specifically will also need this for creating our reference videos and stuff like that. So I'm going to create another right node here. I know this is getting a little messy here, but bear with me for a moment. And let's back up for a moment. Under our ref, let's create a new folder called plate ref. We'll just call this plate ref .jpeg. And then we're going to just render this out as matte paint for right now, which is just sRGB. It's totally fine for what we're going to be using this for. Also, this is 2048 by 1080. If it was 4K or 6K or whatever it is, I would probably make it pretty small. I mean, 2K is pretty small already. It doesn't really need to be that large. We're just going to be using this for playback later. So I might even just half res this. So let's just put a 0.5 in there. Now it's 1024 by 540. Again, we're not using this for like actual comping or anything like that. We're going to be using this for what we're creating later, which is just going to be viewing it inside of Blender, inside of like at like full speed. That's basically all we're going to be using this for. So let's go ahead and just render that out. Should render pretty quickly. Let's make sure that we are creating a directory first. Let's see. Let's read your. Do you not denoise the plate first and then add back the noise after the VFX work? I do, but I haven't done any comp work yet. So I'll do that once I get into compositing. I suppose it's a good idea to do that before you do before you do the camera tracking. I have noticed with the Action VFX stuff, I'm a little lazy at least with it. Action VFX doesn't have a lot of noise with their Red Gemini that they filmed their practice footage at. So you're really not going to be removing all that much noise when you're denoising it, so it's not going to mess up your camera track. However, best practice is I always denoise the stuff when I create the actual plates. I use Neat Video, and so I actually create all of the plates in two different versions. One we call BG1, which will be the version with the noise, and then BG2 is the version without the noise. And then we'll use DOS grain later to reapply the grain at the end of your stack. With Action VFX, though, their plates are really clean. Like they don't have any noise in them whatsoever. So I haven't had that problem there. At least it's not incredibly noticeable. I usually add more grain at the end of those shots just because I want to. I like grain. And I'm usually grading it at the end so that way I can create like a cool looking shot. But yeah, as far as best practices go, usually I'll create two different plates. One would be the Neat Video version without the grain, and one with the grain of the original plate. And then that way we can use DOS grain to compare the two. Okay, now that we have our plate ref, and we have our camera kind of tracked here, there's a couple things I want to do inside of this setup over here. This is all for our STMap workflow, which actually, for organization's sake, let's go ahead and just place this all up there. Create a backdrop, and this is going to be for the STMap. Now this is for our camera track over here. Let's start working on some of this. So instead of using this lens distortion now, we can actually use our STMap instead of the lens distortion in order for us to do faster camera tracking and whatnot. So let's copy this undistort. We'll just paste it over here. I'm going to delete that and then add in an STMap. And if we just plug this into our pipeline, like so, with our UV set to RGB, back to our scene, should have the exact same effect as it did before, which is great. And we're going to do off for the render of our point cloud, which I don't know why this is defaulted to set on. I'm sure there's a way to change it in the preferences, but it's like I never want it, like ever. So why do I have to have that on? Okay. Next step we're going to do with our 3 ground trackers already selected here, I'm going to say create card. And that's going to create a card on our floor of our 3D environment here, right over here actually. And to visualize this, let's just put a checkerboard on the ground. I always like to just add in a checkerboard. It's an easy way of being able to see how good your camera track is. So we go view our scanline render, and then we plug this card in. You'll notice that our camera, is positioned weird. Let's see. Yeah, looks like we're going to have problems. Probably should have done this before we went and created all of our STMaps to make sure that it was actually correct. I'm sure our STMaps are correct because it's using the correct lens. I think our just track is off with like where our tracking positions are. But let's do this the hard way, I suppose. I'm going to rotate some of this. I've noticed this to be the case. Okay, I've noticed this to be the case specifically whenever I do this approximate constant. So if I do unknown constant, I think we're going to get a different result. So let's clear the solve, clear our tracks. Let's track again. Do you use STMap EXR instead of the lens distortion node for the speed of comp, or because it's habits picked up at your studios? Oftentimes, at least in the jobs I do nowadays, I won't do my own camera tracks, in which case I'm actually just having their companies do my camera tracks, and then they'll send us all our tracks and rotos, in which case we will be just receiving STMap EXRs. It's pretty standard workflow to do it that way. Usually different departments will handle camera tracking for you. Also, the reason why it's kind of more standardized is because of the fact that the lens distortion node itself is extremely heavy. So if you're undistorting, redistorting, and doing that to a bunch of different types of files, then your comp becomes extremely heavy, and that can be very cumbersome on your system. So that's just something to watch out for. It's actually got a better camera track, guys. What's going on here? Why did I get a better camera track? Gotta delete our high values. This is really good. So we're going to do the same thing again. Grab the ground pieces here. We'll say create. Oh, no. Ground set to selected. And then we're going to go back to here. Let's do create the scene plus again. I think this lens distortion should be updated now, right? It is perfect. So we'll just have to re-output those undistortions, and we don't have to redo any of our work. All of our stuff just kind of lines up now. Okay, great. Go back over here, set that to off. Let's just redo our test that we did earlier. With all of this selected, let's just right-click, create card. Probably shouldn't have deleted the checkerboard because that's the only thing that I actually want. Yeah, it's doing it again. You see that, guys? Is that weird? Let's try... Let's try this. I don't know if it's the ground thing. Reset. That's so funny. It's not funny. It's painful. It hurts me. Okay. Certainly not enjoyable. Let's add this image in. I'm curious how good the track is actually, though, if I can actually just test that functionality of it. So let's change the rotation of our X value here to like a 90. And that should line up. Perfect. Let's go check our card and... Let's do that. Okay, great. Next up, I always like to just add a merge node in here. This will make everything a little bit easier to test to see how good this is. If you do a merge node and then remove the BG on your scanline render, then when you set this to be a little bit more transparent, you can actually see through your card a little bit better. You can also just make your card transparent up there, but I find this a little bit easier. Yeah, guys, look at that. That track is horrendous. Looks like we're going to have to do a little bit more work than just hit the track button. I'm going to re-delete everything again, and we're going to try some other stuffs. Trial and error, baby. So unknown lens, unknown constant. It's free camera, linear, planar motion? No. Let's reset, because I think the film back is probably also screwed up. Let's try... I'm just going to oh, whoops. Camera tracker. Classic. Time to add manual markers. Yeah, we're getting to that moment. We're getting to that moment, dude. Do unknown constant. We'll keep that unknown. No lens distortion. Unknown lens. And then we're going to keep the film back the same. I mean, adding manual trackers wouldn't be that bad for this, but you feel the pain. Dude, I've got so much pain right now. I'm like, dude, come on, man. Oh, wait a second. I've never done this before. What did they say it was? I've never done this before. Film back preset. Gemini 5K. Well, it's none of those, so we're back to square one on that. But let's see, let's try this. So we're gonna set the mask to mask alpha. Settings. We'll just do that. Preview it. Perfect. I'm gonna hit the track button. Yeah, so right now I'm working on a Western film where we're adding in a bunch of CG cows to shots. And essentially, I'll do a track, and if I hit this moment in it where it was like, oh, it stopped, like I couldn't get a track easily inside of Nuke, I'll just send it off. I'll be like, yeah, we're getting a camera track done on that shot. Like, there's not time to waste on those types of things too. There's really isn't time to waste on doing like just spending hours on tracking, because let's see, yeah, we're doing that. That's so weird that it's input sequence source free camera. It is kind of rotation only. We could try rotation only. Let's try that. Clear solve. Clear tracks. Let's try tracking it again. I've taken the wrong habits to switch synthesize moment. I feel the track is gonna help. Yeah. Well, I don't have synthesize installed on this computer. Otherwise, I would have already done that. Synthesize, though, dude, it's so amazing. I love synthesize. Huge fan of what they did with the software. Okay, I just know that's not correct because these should be like right here. That's how you know this is not correct. Clear solve, clear tracks. It's not rotation only. Technically, it's not a linear motion. Could be planar motion. And now Synthesize is in Boris FX Suite. Yeah. I don't have the Boris FX Suite, but we got the well, actually we technically do, but it's like the old 2019 Boris FX at our work, so we haven't updated it, or it's the 2021, which is before they purchased Synthesize. Now we have the or is it OFX that we technically have? I don't actually know. I don't know what we have. We have things. That is not correct still. Alrighty then. We're going to clear these tracks. Let's see, user tracks. To be honest, I don't really ever do these, so I'm kind of curious. I've never gotten this far in my desperation for tracking things. Let's see, add a track there. Do I control click? No, it's alt click, shift right click, tracks. Survey points. How do I add a new track? What's the shortcut for that? Alt click. It's certainly not alt click. There's got to be a button for it. I'll tell you where I'm almost at though. Let's we can even try this just to see how well this works, because I have discovered sometimes if I ever need, yeah, you know what? Screw it. Let's do it. I'm going to copy paste our right node here into our regular plate. And let's create this as plate ref 2. Just render that out real quick. If you just take this directly into Blender, they've got a good 3D camera tracker that is not going to make the same mistake as this. So let's do it. Oh my gosh, guys. We are trial and erroring it right now. Which, by the way, guys, if you want to feel for my pain, hit the subscribe button below. It tells YouTube that this guy doesn't suck that much. Let's go and delete everything and then create a whole new window here inside of Blender for VFX. And then we'll do motion tracking. Hit open for the video and let's go find our stream. Use the tracker node, add tracker with it, and then use import them all into the user track tab. Oh. Okay, well, let me try that. Yeah, screw it. Let's try it, because I already know Blender's going to work, so let's try it your method. I do want to try new things. This is what these tutorials are for, or these live streams, not tutorials. These live streams are for me figuring out how to do things better sometimes. I do want to know, is there an what's the shortcut to doing add track inside of Nuke? Is there a way to do that? And are you going to really want to do more than one track at a time? I don't know. Nope, that one just broke immediately. I think I might have to make this a little bigger. I'll make that not as tall. Let's do that. Delete forward. Just watching that up there. Till it goes off screen. If this don't work, I switch to Synthize. This is always your last resort? I'm doing your last resort right now? Oh my god. Okay, I think that works. So that tracker's gone. You know, there is something peaceful about manual tracking. You know what I'm saying? There's something peaceful about manual tracking. Not that I like it. I'm just saying that there's something peaceful about it. Let's just put that in there. This could be a little larger. This is basically what you do in Blender, though, as well, by the way. It's just quite a bit faster, actually. Also, it directly works with the 3D camera tracker, so... The reason why I never liked Blender, it was funny, because the first time I was ever doing CG stuff, I didn't have After Effects, I didn't have any of those programs. So, I would do all my camera tracking directly inside of Blender, and... it worked, but I had a really bad camera at the time. I had the one it's over there on my my back shelf, and it filmed at like I think 320p resolution or something like that. Dude, you couldn't get a track off that. Like, and it was funny too because I just thought I was bad at tracking at the time. I didn't know that it was just because I had a camera that literally couldn't understand what a pixel was. That was the reason why. I think it did 480p at 60 frames per second or something like that. I think. And it was like, it advertised on the camera that it was like full HD or something like, or high definition. I think it was just high definition at the time. It was just like, hey guys, we do high definition. And you know, I didn't know any better. And honestly, it kind of was high definition for that time period. I think there was like a whole category of movies that were like, dude, this was actually shot in 4K. Can you believe it? This movie was shot in 4K resolution. Good old digital cameras back in the day. You've never used Blender's motion trackers? It's pretty good. It's really fast too. It's really fast. There's good shortcuts for it. I think I'm off there. Let's just delete forward. I don't know how many of these I'm going to need, honestly. I'm going to need a lot of trackers. There's going to be a lot on this back wall, which is probably where it's going to look the most flat. Oh, hello. We're just going crazo. Is that not contrasty enough for you? I feel like that should be contrasty enough for you. What do I know, though? I guess not anything. Holy cow. All right, we did that test.
it's taken a while, and right now I'm out of whiles. Let's see, name 1000. There we go. How long is this plate? I guess exactly 4 frames long. Great. If we go to the beginning here, this is how you use the camera tracker node inside of Blender. I don't know why this is open over here, but what we're going to do is we're going to hit Window, New Window, place this over here. Let's just make sure that we are selected on our plate ref now, like so. I'm going to... Do we really need this? Let's join these areas. Yeah. And we're going to do everything over here anyways. So we'll just go back to this screen. For this, all you have to do is, I believe there's detect features. We're first just going to do detect features. We'll delete a few of the features that we don't want to track because we know that they're going to suck. We could try everything else. I mean, it doesn't really matter. Let's go back to the first frame here. Let's just delete everything again. Hit detect features. And then in order for us to track it, all you have to do is... Where's the track buttons, actually? There it is, track. There's this track forward button. This is track selected markers forward to the entire clip. I think this is just 1 frame. Yeah, forward by 1 frame. So you're just going to hit this guy. It's going to go all the way to the end. It's going to freak out. It's going to be bad in a lot of areas. And the hard part in this is that they don't have the auto, like, remove functionality of it. So, like, if there's a bad one in your mix, you got to kind of pay attention. For instance, not seeing anything right off the bat. You can kind of see that over here, by the way, in your graph, which ones are really crazy, like where they go crazy. So for instance, let's select this one that gets super wild. I'm going to try to find that moment. And then also let's go to the end of our shot here. And then we're going to add in some new markers. I believe all you have to do is control click. That's the one. I was like, I knew if I hit enough buttons, I eventually would get the control click to work. And now we're just going to track backwards. Where'd that tracker go? And you have to kind of pay attention. I mean, it's going to hit the wall there, so it goes off, which is fine. And again, just go to the end. I feel like we have a lot in the beginning. We just don't have any in the end. Which, actually, by the way, you could just, here at the end, hit detect features. Like so. And then you just track backwards. And I think, let's just go to solve. Let's see what happens if we try solving this. We have some really crazy ones here. We might want to just delete the curves on those. I think that one's wild. This one's a little high too. I like to select all the big ones and just delete them because it's not like we have so many trackers. I think the errancy on these is like, it gets really crazy down here. Actually, don't know if... So now let's try this. Let's hit solve. We're going to try solving this real quick. See what happens. Some camera data failed to reconstruct. Yeah, of course. It's not tripod. Refine the focal length, optical center. Let's see. Clean up. Great thing is we could just set the floor here real quick. So we're just going to do that. Say set floor. 3 tracks with the bundle. Oh, sure, I did 4. What are those guys, by the way? I don't know where my console is. What happened to the console? Window console, toggle system console. There we go. Oh, I see what's going on. Okay. I think our footage settings are also incredibly off right now. Let's see. Plane tracking, track settings, camera. 35. That's correct. Pixel aspect ratio is 1. Lens should be set to 35. Our sensor width should be set to... What did I say that was earlier, guys? What did I say the sensor size was? 30. .7 technically. I mean, if we want to be accurate, 30.72. 57, dude. That's crazy. Now I got to go through and actually delete a bunch of crap, which is everything. Let's start from scratch. I'm going to start out with minimum amount of camera track markers here, if we can. Control click over here. By the way, if you wanted to know the moment panic started hitting, it's about right now. Right now is when panic is hitting. Let's see. We're not going to use detect features because I don't have time to like... Now that I've wasted enough time on other things, I don't actually have time to validate my checking. I now have to basically just do one at a time. I actually think one at a time is probably a way better idea. It's better to have 8 good tracks than like 1,000 bad tracks. Guys, I started this tutorial out so strong. I was just like, guys, I know what I'm talking about. And here we are. Okay. That's actually... Is that floating? That's floating quite a bit. This is a camera tracking live stream? 100% is. I even told my friend, I was like, hey, I think I might actually be out of this stream early today. No. No, you are doing camera tracking, sir, and it's got to be perfect. I also knew it, too. Last night when I picked the shot, I was just like, oh, this is going to be a hard shot, isn't it? Yeah. It's going to be good, though. It's going to be good, though. It's okay if not all your tracks go all the way to the end, at least in my opinion, because I feel like as long as you're consistent with when they go off and they're not erroring off, then I think, as in like dragging across the screen is what I mean by erroring. I think we're going to go to the end of the shot. I want to get some here. I think ideally you want as many of them to go to the end of the shot as possible. But I've always thought that you want to have tracking markers. See, that's drifting. I don't think that's good. I don't like drifting shots, man. One of the worst tracking shots I ever did was when I was first like starting in the industry of VFX. I had to track, like hand track a dude's vest. It was at night. I had to add the word police onto the back of his vest. It was an absolute nightmare. And at the time, I was just like doing compositing work. That was my job. But they wanted me to track it as well as do the compositing work. And, you know, now I just know better. Now I just go, hey, we're sending this off to a tracking company. It's not worth my time, the client's money, you know, for me to track this thing. We'll get someone else that's a pro. Okay. We're getting there. We're just tracking rocks right now, guys. Do love that there's these contrast. I kind of, I know this isn't for a show or anything like that, but you got to know that if there was a VFX soup on set for like a location like this, they're going, yes, natural tracking markers just everywhere. Let's do this one here. Back to the beginning. Yeah, it works. I think this is going to go out pretty quick, but I want something a little bit closer to the camera. Okay. Guys, we're getting there. I don't like tracking trees as much just because they do move. And you think they're not, but then they do. And then you're screwed. But you don't know it. Because you don't know. Any like white rocks over here that I could grab? Or like... The problem with some of these dark areas that I'm tracking is that they're not actual like rocks or anything. They're shadows or silhouettes, and silhouettes move depending on the angle in which the camera's hitting it. So it can be a little difficult sometimes when you're trying to use that as your tracking source. You don't want to track the outside form of something because it will forever be the outside of the form. I don't know if that makes any sense. Like if you're tracking the outside of a rock edge and you're moving your camera around the rock, well then the tracker marker will always think that the outside of the edge of the rock is away from the camera. At which point your tracking marker is actually floating in Z depth away from you. Okay, I think that's enough. I think we're good. Let's hit the solve button and see what happens. We have a 0.2. Dude, first try. First try. Let's go. Let's not celebrate too early. Okay. Stop it. Don't celebrate. It's not okay to celebrate too early. Also, I mean, technically, I didn't undistort the footage here. I probably should have. Damn it. It's okay. I could have imported my STMap footage instead and then tracked the STMap footage, but I don't know. Whatever. We'll grab these guys here. We'll select those guys, and then under our solve menu here, I believe we just set those to floor. No object to apply orientation on. Oh, do I need to set up my tracking scene? I don't remember. There used to be a button to do that. Track footage, stabilization, tracking settings, objects. We've got this camera. Yeah, I can't remember where the buttons are now. Solve. Oh, set up tracking scene. There we go. And then if I have those selected, can I set that to the floor? Why is orientation still screwed up? That's a good question. Technically, that's all correct there. What we want, though, is like all of these that are selected on the floor, I suppose. Nope. with bundles. I don't understand what bundles are. Single track with bundles should be selected to define. Do I not know what a single bundled track... What's a bundled track, guys? Does anyone know what a bundled track is? Single track with bundle should be selected to define axis. Just doesn't want me to orient my scene properly. That's what it wants. It wants me to be unhappy. That's what it is. Okay, let's take this whole thing. Let's go over here to, well, here's our timeline. And then I have my camera track on. There's the camera solver. If I rotate this, okay, that's perfect. Now let's go to 3D cursor. It's fine. We'll just manually orient this guy. I don't need you guys. I don't need Blender. I can do it myself. As long as this is kind of... I feel like the tracking markers are still screwed up. Because I know this height is off now. It's all floaty. Which 24. It's technically 2398. It's actually kind of good. It's hard to tell because it's not actually playing back at full speed. Let's go to layout here. And let's set this to 3D viewport. And for our background image now, let's go ahead and set the opacity all the way up. I'm going to say... Wait, render undistorted. What the heck? I don't think I've ever seen that checkbox before. Render preview using undistorted. I don't think I've ever seen that before. There we go, guys. I think the camera track's done. And you sitting here and be like, "Oh man, natural tracking markers." Yeah, dude. Natural tracking markers. I think we have some weird floatinesses that are still happening on it. May want to try to adjust those. Let's just take a look at this. Okay, it's a little better. It's a little better. These guys right here, I don't know why the orientation is a little bit off on this. But let's scale this all down. Let's place this on the tracking marker here. That's a lot better. It's pretty good track right there. These being down is concerning to me because I think the reason it's doing that is because since the camera's not moving a lot in 3D space, those appear to be lower vertically than they really are. Because the camera's not having any kind of like parallax to it. And I think that's throwing it off. And that's what was happening in the other software as well. I've had this before with some 3D camera tracks that I've done inside of Nuke. And that was where I was having the problem. Normally I would just solve it by well, normally I would just be able to just like retrack it and doing some of the stuff I did and it would work. This one just seemed a little bit more fun. Okay. Great. I think that's fine for me as far as the tracking is concerned. It's pretty dang close. Next up, let's start doing some of the layout aspects of this. Let's go over here to layout and let's start building out our scene that we have. I'm going to scale this on the median origin here. And I'll probably do that. Alright, and we're going to try to see if this really lines up at all with our environment. Because, like, for the most part, this back wall here, I mean, it's all natural, so, like, we're just going to try to, like, block out what the terrain is kind of like here. So, just grab that over here. And then this back wall is actually... Oh, we're going to have to edge loop it. Because this guy's like something like that. Yeah, that's good. And then let's go back into... here, edge loop that. We're just creating kind of like a rough idea of where this wall is. Amazing. Perfect. This will help us later to adjust our camera track as well if there's any adjustments we need to make. It's looking pretty good. You guys are kind of like only looking at that side of it. But this is the, I'm kind of like looking at it also in the outline view over here as well as we're working on it. So that way I can kind of see things in outline as they're running. And there you go. Let's render this out. It's hard to tell if the tracking is off on this, or if that's just me visualizing it incorrectly. Let's do rotate. Yeah, I think that's about correct anyways. I was probably right. And then let's do render this out as an FFmpeg. Probably render this to the same stream folder. Override this probably to, yeah, sRGB is fine. Hey, Diego, welcome into the chat. How you doing today? We're doing a very gnarly camera track here. I'm going to select this, though, and then if we hit view, viewport render animation. Let's see how bad this camera track really is right now, guys. Probably about to be, I'm probably about to just not be happy with it. Oh. Remind me, guys, just to quit my job tomorrow, all right? Like, this is rough. Live streams, and then today's date, and then ref, and then let's just view this file. I'll probably actually do, just so I could put it in, FFmpeg doesn't work inside of Nuke. So let's just swap this over to something like JPEG and copy that. And we'll do it again. I already could tell it wasn't good, but we're going to do it again. What's FFmpeg? Just a video file format, really lightweight. It's like an MKV file. Going to sleep in a bit? Dude, it's the middle of the day. Why would you go to sleep? I'm just kidding. You got to get some rest, man. All right, let's view this. We're going to see how crappy it is. Low key, actually. You know what? No, that's good. That's good. Did you hear about the flood in? I did not. Is everyone okay? I forget. Diego, are you in Spain? That's actually. I think this is a decent track, guys. Let's see. Let's do outline. Sure, that's fine. Trying to see if there's an easier way for us to view this. Matcap flat. X-ray. The only other way I could think of is by doing a lattice effect. Or is it? What is the effect, guys, where it generates the, like as a wireframe? It's called wireframe. Who knew that it was called wireframe? This will be a little bit thicker for us to be able to view. But now if we go back over here, just, oh crap. If we go back over here and then do viewport render animation, it'll make it a little bit easier to see. Yes, an overflow has destroyed villages in... No, really? Well, I'm sorry to hear. I didn't hear anything about that. I know I had a buddy that was talking about going to Spain recently. I don't know if he went or not. Okay, guys, that's a pretty good track if I ever saw one. Who knew, guys? Blender's best camera tracking software. Go download it now. Pay me later. I don't know. Which I didn't know if you guys knew or not. Monetized now, so you guys can actually. There's like a little thing down there. We're so close though to getting monetized where I can actually. I think they put ads on my content anyways, but I don't get paid for that. And I guess when I hit, is it 4,000 public watch hours, then I can get monetized where I can actually start receiving some of their monetization money for that. I'm like first tier monetized right now, which means that I'm allowed to do memberships, which we have a Patreon. So if you guys want to be a member, I join the Patreon. I don't know if I'm going to use the YouTube membership thing as much here. But on the Patreon, I post all the videos ad free there and they go up a week early. Plus all the project files like this stuff will all be uploaded to Patreon as well. And special content and stuff like that. Are you going to do something on top of the video? I am. Now that I have the camera tracked, I'm going to, we're going to do some set extension work. We're going to be adding in a, kind of like a space station or something like that. Or maybe, Matthias's idea earlier, and I kind of like this idea. Maybe if we make this a, kind of like a military post, like a World War II military post, and add in a tank on the ground here. I think that might be what we're going to do. I'm going to use an Action VFX tank. They have a tank that I have, and I haven't used it yet. I haven't gotten a chance, but I think I might use it for this. Yeah, when I'm done with this stuff today, I'm just kind of going to do some layout, I think. We'll look up some research stuff. Then from there, we'll just do some layout. All these project files will be up on the Patreon and all of that stuff. But yeah, I don't know. As far as like YouTube is concerned, the thing is I can't upload project files to YouTube servers. So if I did do the YouTube membership, it would just be the other tier, which just allows you guys to watch content ad free, which I guess I could do that, but it's like, might as well go to Patreon. I don't know. You guys let me know if it makes a difference to you. We have 2 people over on our Patreon right now that I'm very thankful for. They get shout outs at the beginning of all the live streams and the end of the live streams, as well as the videos that we upload. So, hey, this camera track is working for us, so we can move on. 3D tank from Action VFX, the German Panzer, I think so. Let me let's take a look. They've got some 3D assets on here. I haven't really looked at them too much in depth. I have like that one. Let's see, do they have another tank, or is it just the Abrams one? I think they just have the U.S. Abrams one. No, they got this one. Oh, they do have the Panzer. That's pretty cool. I like the other one. If I do take this one, I might make it even more rusty and dirty. It's a little clean. They're all a little clean. We can dirty it up. Got some crates, some stuff like that. It was there. Yeah. I don't know why it's not on there. Do I have to keep like maybe it just didn't load? No, did I scroll past it? Why don't I see it on? Oh, it's right. I did scroll past it. It's right in front of my face, guys. Yeah, we could do this one. I like this one. I'll grab that later. We're going to kind of do that more next week. But for this week, we're going to do a little bit more of the layout work inside of Blender just to kind of figure out what we're doing here. Let's do Rock Quarry Military Outpost. This is a little different than I was planning on doing it before. Ooh, some stairs. I like the stairs. What if there's like stairs on the back wall here? I have to get some roto done of these guys, I think. See, that's a Blender render. Can I close that? I don't know if I can close that. I don't want to close it yet. Let's go and save our Blender file, and then I'll close it. I'm going to call this today's date. And let's see, inside of layout here, delete that real quick. Nice thing about having the ground kind of like create it now, I might even recommend, let's see, let's put that in wireframe. If we just go in here and then just align this more with where the back wall actually is, this will make things a little bit easier to like just point and click. I like to just add the cursor to like where I want something to be. And it's really nice if, ooh, there we go. Great. Okay, so now we just have like our floor there, and then let's start getting some stuff organized. That's just ground. I'm just going to call this ref actually for right now. And then if we go into here, let's display that. We're going to turn off the render view for this because we're not actually going to want that. Next up, actually, I think we'll have to worry about all the render preset settings next week, but there's a few things that it added inside of here. In fact, maybe let's just go do it now because I just already know it's going to be a pill. It added all this stuff in here. I'm just probably going to deselect use nodes because I never like using nodes anyways for rendering stuff. We're going to be using nodes inside of Nuke, so why would I want to composite it inside of Blender? But from here, we can go in and we can start roughing out some stuff inside of our scene. I think actually let's set the scale first. This might actually be probably the best thing to do. Let's go back to the start of the shot. Let's see, who is this guy? I don't know who you are, dude, but we're gonna guess how tall you are right now. How tall do you guys think this guy is? Let's get some guesses. Selection of the cursor. How tall? What are we thinking? $1.79 meters. It's probably pretty close. I was going to say 1.89 meters. Like 6 foot. Although he is a little crouched. $1.79 meters. And then a little crouched beyond that. So it's like if he's like a little down. Now if we scale everything and the entire thing to this height here, this will allow us to create our scale. I like to do this just because it makes everything way easier to set. So we already have kind of like this line here. And all I have to do is set this to scale on the 3D cursor here, the transform, and find that height to be about the same height as this dude here. And roughly, we're going to be in the ballpark. I mean, we don't really know how tall this dude is. Probably, if you guys are a VFX soup on set, or if you guys want to Ask your client for information. I would say on a shot, be like, hey, how tall is this person? Or, get measurements yourself. And then write that down. And then that way, when you guys track stuff later, you can then apply your correct scaling of everything. I think roughly this is probably correct. 5'11". Yeah. I mean, that's about 1.79 to 1.8 meters, right? Like, was 5'11". I mean, 5'12". 6 foot is probably I think it's 1.89 meters, right? So, that is definitely a recommendation, is get all of the measurements of scale and size for your entire environment. So that way, when you do this stuff later, you don't have to guess things. You just have all that info right off the bat. So this is our height. I like to just keep this here. We're just going to actually keep it visible. But we are now going to have our scene set up with the proper scaling. And now, if we set up all of our camera settings, everything will be correct. And also, when we create all of our environment, like the actual environment that they'll be in, everything will be correct as well. So setting our 3D cursor over there, if we add in a cube, and our cube is supposed to be, I think this is 2 meters tall, right? Then now it's going to be the correct size, 0.5, and then grab Z, 0.5, and there we go. This is going to be a 1 meter tall cube. It's actually a pretty big cube. I think I just looked up how tall a stair was. Because I was like, how tall is a stair? Because if we know the exact height of a stair, you could just extrude it and say it's like 0.0254 is what it's saying. Oh my God, that's small. There's no way that's a stair height. Really? No, that's not correct. There we go. I was like, there's no way, dude. Wow. I was like, nah. All right. Now we kind of roughly know that our stairs, that looks like a correct stair size there. So now we just set up an array. We'll set that to like a -1. And then we'll set the Z here to a +1. And now all we have to do is just increment our stairs upwards. And we'll have stairs kind of going up the side of this cliff face here. Another fun thing we can do while we're getting into this layout phase, if we really want to know like where our character is supposed to be at and stuff like that, we can actually do Roto of these characters. So let's do that actually right now. I'm gonna open up DaVinci Resolve, and then we'll import our plate into it. And all we're going to do is create a magic mask roto of the characters and use that to import inside of Blender. Inside of Blender, you can actually have multiple video backdrops. So we have this one video backdrop here, but we can actually do a foreground video backdrop. This one is set to background. So let's say it with our camera selected, you can actually see that it says back for depth. If we set it to front, it'll be in front of everything. And actually we could probably even do this and just set transparency if you want to be lazy. In our particular instance, we're going to want this to be back because I like to have things at full, strength of when we see them. I don't like to have the opacity. Otherwise, it makes it kind of hard to gauge like what you're really seeing and what's, where and all that stuff. So we're just first set this to 2048 by 1080. I think that's all good. It'll automatically change our frames per second and all that jazz. No, that's my werewolf stuff. Go to projects, live stream, streams. I'll go to today's date. There it is. And I'm probably going to import the plate. Change our frame rate. As I said, import that in. Now, it's going to import it and it's going to look weird. And that's because we need to set our color management settings. So let's do ACES CC, input transform. We know this is our ACES CG material. And again, I have a full tutorial on the YouTube channel for this. So if you guys want to go check that out, then the link for that is just below. Just click on my channel. There we go. We're going to set that to 709. And I'll probably go... Let's go to the color tab here. And let's zoom in now under the Magic Mask tool. We're just going to select our guy. It's probably not going to do a good job, by the way. It doesn't, generally speaking, do great jobs when the people are so far away. Believe me, I've been doing a lot of cowboys recently on horseback, and they're like super far away from the camera because it's a drone shot, and it just does not work. We'll go ahead and select that over there, and then if we select this, we can see what it's doing. And obviously, that is not correct. But if we select better, it might do a slightly better job. And we just have to deselect the stuff around him. And again, this is just for reference, by the way. So if we deselect that, this might actually work. Let's go ahead and track it. I like how he's running and like kind of like leaving trails behind him. Let's deselect that. Overall, it kind of works. I'm not going to lie. It kind of works. The only other thing I might want to do is actually do this guy as well. I was going to do him as a separate layer, but I think it'll be best just to do them at the same time. And again, deselect around. Just double check. Sure. I would say we probably want his arm. We'll just go ahead and hit the tracker. Honestly, it doesn't do like a bad job. It's pretty rough. Like this immediately gets rough. But all we have to do is just say minus. Whoopsies. I might just delete that last one. Yeah, it kind of just, it's very rough. Let's do iterations, max that out. Let's do consistency, max that out. Let's clean the black area a bit. Let's do in and out ratio. I'm just going to clean that up. And that's going to get it pretty close for us. So we'll now take that and we'll render this out. So going to our delivery tab, I'm going to select JPEG as our output. And under our file format, let's just make sure that we're setting it to 4 and starting at frame 1000. And if we go over to our video option, going to then place this inside of our live stream folder. Let's go to streams, today's date. And for our ref, we're going to create a whole new folder here called FG. I'll just call it FG. Normally I would have the actual name of the VFX shot, but it's not really a name of a VFX shot when this is your only VFX shot. So we'll go ahead and add that to the render queue and then just hit render. And it's just going to render out this black and white. Oh, I probably should have named it a matte. What am I doing? Because this is not FG, this is a matte. Next up, we're going to import that matte into our, this is a mess, but we're going to just import that into our nuke comp. It'll be over here. And let's see, we're going to make sure that it's using the red channel. And now if we go view that, you can see we have our dudes. And they may not be perfect, but it's the thought that counts. Right? Is that what they say? Yeah, I think so. Let's go ahead and render this out. And we're going to use this exact same right node that we used before. Yes, we're going to use the exact same one we used before. But this time we're going to call this plate 3. Or, 3. And then let's do reformat. And we're going to make this half resolution, so scale that to 0.5. And then instead of JPEGs, we're going to save this out as a PNG. And then inside of our PNG, set that to RGBA. And currently there is no alpha on this lovely thing. Just to make sure auto alpha is selected. And so now when you render this out, it'll actually render out with the alpha correctly. So let's go ahead and do that. And then inside of our Blender now, go back over here. We're probably going to want to re-output those JPEGs, by the way, because those were full res, and that's going to slow down our playback speed, and you don't want that on this kind of stuff. So let's actually do that real quick because we're going to want to do this in order. So back over here, we have this plate ref. I'm going to also just copy this reformat to it, and this plate ref, we'll just call it plate ref 4. Render that out. We're using the exact same reformat as before. So it should be half resolution of 2K. And so now, if we go ahead and remove that, hit add image, we're going to open up a new image, go to our streams, ref folder. We're going to load in plate ref 4, which I should have actually just rendered it to a separate folder, but I didn't. So we have 4. Sorry guys, my bad. This is a little disorganized. There we go. Hit open image, and that's going to import plate ref 4. And you'll notice that's going to play back at full speed, which actually is... I think, what happened there? Because that actually started to play back incorrectly. Let's see. I'm wondering if this is actually... I don't know. I do know this is correct though. So let's just keep that for right now. Oh, 50%, is that possible? Okay, let's dive into this a little bit more. I'm going to hit add image. Let's grab our plate over here. I'm going to actually render this to a whole different folder. And then let's go grab that. Let's do 1000 to 1095. Hit open image. There we go. That should be correct. I don't know why all of a sudden my stuff isn't lining up. Oh, that's also interesting. That's why. I think I found out why. It was one frame off. Also, why do I have to keep doing it this way? It's so crazy. Select 1000 to 1095, hit open image, and then let's see if we go back to frame 0, this should have that. Why is that not playing back at the same freaking... I don't understand what the difference between my two plates are, actually. Well, that's a movie clip, actually. Data source, movie clip, background, for background, movie clip. Okay. Now, if I add another image on top of it and I did the FG stuff, is that going to work? Okay, import this now. Let's see, streams. Okay, so this is now our FG material. It should be on the front. And then if we align that up, hit fit. Oh, that's so strange, dude. Like, it's off even there. Is it because this is undistorted footage? I didn't know that the motion tracker did that. Does that actually output undistorted footage into your thing? If so, that's actually really cool that it does that. Distortion model used for camera lenses, polynomial. Radial distortion model, which fits most common cameras. Track settings, let's see. Set background. Set the movie clip as a camera background. A 3D viewport works only with 3D viewport is visible. Okay. I've never actually... You know what we could do to test this? Let's go to layout. Normally, I would do my distortion and all that stuff, by the way, guys, inside of Nuke. So I haven't experienced this before. But let's hide everything here, including our... Well, if we just go to camera view now, and we go and just save first, just in case. I always save. But I did just for you. Let's go ahead and then disable this third plate that it imported here. I'm going to output. This is test 2. We're going to do follow scene, I think. And then let's do, these are all JPEGs, which is totally fine. Let's do view render animation. And then I'm going to import this into Nuke just to compare the two plates. Do time offset. Well, first of all, I don't have as many frames. That's the first thing. In fact, I've got a few less frames. Second of all, I have no clue what's going on. Let's try this. We're going to try splitting this. I think I lost frames and all that stuff. Let me try to figure out how many frames that were off here. Okay. Let's go to the middle of the shot. That's the easiest way to do this. Okay, I think we lost about 12 frames. I don't know how we lost 12 frames, and I don't know why. But there's no distortion between the two of them, but we figured it out. There's 12 frame difference between what's in Blender and what's not in Blender, and why. So this here is playing back this footage here. Let's see, offset X, Y. This happened because of what, I don't understand why it happened, but it is because of the camera solver. So let's figure out why the camera solver is off by that many frames. Not really a way for me to... Honestly, I'm kind of willing just to count my losses here, guys. As far as those 11 frames go, I don't need the 11 frames, but that's a frustrating... Did I click something earlier that I didn't know about? Or what happened? Okay, that lines up. No wonder it only goes to frame 83/82. That actually now adds up. That actually adds up. As far as my other plate goes, I can definitely get it to line up. I just need to re-render it. So we'll just do that. What did I do? I don't know. I don't remember setting like a range or... I just imported it and then set the end to 83. So now all I have to do is hit add, open. Let's go up one, ref, and 4. And we'll set you to 0. That would explain why the tracking was just so far off, guys. What was that all about? Well, now we know. So now we go back up one, ref, 3, select our guy, open, and we'll set this to front now. And if we set the opacity all the way up, Alt H this, we will now have our guys kind of like running here in our scene. So go back over to layout. Now we've got our guys. Now again, this is just for reference. We're not actually compositing or anything like this, but this allows us to see where like kind of like our guy is running and all that stuff as we're building out this kind of like 3D layout of what everything will look like. Hey, Anemo, welcome into the chat. Welcome in, welcome in. With our background, though, one thing I do want to kind of do, we do want it to look proper. So let's go to this plate 4 here. Let's set the opacity to full. And then I always click view as render because then it's the same color space that it should be because we're tagging it as utility sRGB, which is what we rendered it out as from our... that's what we rendered it out from our nuke. You can also tag it as, I think, matte, which for us is just going to be sRGB. But then also do that same with your foreground plate. Just go ahead and make sure that click view as render. And then now, since all of this stuff is like pretty low res, it'll play back pretty fast. Let's set that to 83. You're unsubscribing me? Why? What did I do? No. Don't do that. Let's go ahead and save that. And then now we can start to, block this out a little bit. Oh, that's a little small screen there. I'm going to select the camera now and then go to... one other thing I like to do is go to viewport display inside of your camera settings. And then if you set the pass through all the way to black, then it allows you to be able to see only what your camera is basically seeing. A November Fool. That was very hurtful though, Anemo. I don't know that I'm going to recover from that. Now, we're going to want our tank that we were talking about to probably be about right there. And so let's go ahead and add a cube in. Just scale it up. Right? We think it there for the tank, guys. Like they're running towards the tank. Maybe there's like... Oh, right about here. Let's go ahead and add just like a cylinder in. This is where the fun begins, as they say in Star Wars. This is where the fun begins. Happy Halloween. Yeah, we didn't get to do as many Halloween renders this year as I got to do last year. Halloween renders are always kind of the best. Now we're just kind of like building out this environment, guys. Like with any set extension, there's going to be a lot of like research for like where you guys are going to want your stuff to be. Like I would recommend like opening up some different images and whatnot. Like I like this. I think a lot of the stuff in here looks pretty cool. The cool thing about like doing, let's see, let's do a circle. Let's do like a circle. Let's scale that up. Some of this foreground stuff, we can actually get like our own designs in here. I like that. So if we just fill that and then do an extrusion downwards. Oh. If we extrude that downwards on the z-axis, like a good 0.2 negatively, I should be the size of a stair. And we'll extrude, scale that out. Extrude z, 0.2 negative. And then we just kind of create our stairs. Oops. What did I not do 0.2 the first time? I guess I didn't. We're just creating ourselves some like round stairs going down. We don't need that many of them, but I think that's pretty good there. I did make them upright, but what we're going to want to do now is flip these upside down. So just rotate these on like the, well, actually I would just, oh, hello. We're going to just press Control M, Z-axis. There we go. We're using these mostly as a, wow, I really hate, why did I do that? Swap that back to Studio or Matcap or something else, please. And then I like this because what this will allow us to do here. Oh, you know what we're going to have to do here? Let's, okay, we're going to use this as our ground here. Let's grab the bottom faces of this thing and extrude it downwards. Or inset it downwards. Can we not? Why do I have to do things the complicated way? Duplicate that down. There we go. Now, if we select this whole face on the top here, and we bridge the faces, can I not do that? Why are we having to be annoying about this? I just want an actual volume to my ground here, guys. That's all I want. And I already know. So let's just go fix it. But what we should do is view face orientation here. Yeah. And this is all incorrect. So let's select these bottom boys down here. Well, really, all of these red faces is what we're going to want to select. I don't think we really care about that, but we do care about this bottom. Probably not that one. There we go. And then we're going to go to Mesh, Normals, Flip. That way we only have ourselves a blue bottom. Cool. Now I could go turn off face orientation because we don't necessarily need that right now. Did you guys dress up for anything for Halloween? Guess I didn't ask that. Use custom normals, keep boundaries, simple. I probably should have done this before I started extruding everything to create my stairs, but I think there's another way. We do shade smooth. Shade smooth by angle. There we go. And then now with this ground that we have here, let's use a Boolean and select our stairs, and we'll do fast because I always think fast works better, honestly. And then we'll delete that, and we should have just our stairs on the ground there. So now we're gonna actually have like kind of like these stairs on the ground as they're running through this environment, which is pretty sweet. I say let's keep this as like real ground. So this is going to be their ground. So we'll project the dirt onto that ground. But then this right here will be an additional kind of like stairs built into the ground. This is coming from their ground. So we'll keep all of this is going to be real ground over here. And it'll kind of turn into more. Yeah, I think this will all be real as well. I'm not planning on keeping. Yeah, I think we'll mess around with that. I'm gonna do some more research on some pictures of like these different. Let's see. Let's pull up some stuff. We've got like these stairs, some railings that we can model and things like that. Got more like kind of like these tunnels here as well. Like these trees. Might even add some trees in. More like, what do they call those? What do they call those? I can't remember. They're kind of like pyramids, but they were in like more like Mexico. The thing I want to say I know is not correct, so I am not saying it out loud. That's pretty cool. I feel like we could do more of that up here. Ben, you know what these things are. I don't know if you're around today or not, though, so I know I saw you earlier on the stream, but I haven't seen you chat in a while, so. No, like those like Mexican they're down in Mexico. It's the these things. The stepped like pyramids. I don't know what they're called, man. Yeah, well, temples, obviously. I just didn't know what there's like an actual name for them. I think it starts with a Z. History lessons with Connor. It's more like geography. So ziggurat, that's what I wanted to say, but I didn't want to say it out loud if it wasn't correct. Because that would be like, I feel like I'm making up a name at that point, right? You're just like saying something. Is that a design we like? Do we like that? Or do we hate it? Do we really hate that? I think we really hate that. It's kind of like this. You would find ziggurats in Iraq, not so much South America. I thought they were in South America. Could have swore I thought they were from South America. As a well-traveled man as myself, I would know, okay? Are we getting away from this then? It's kind of like round. I do like... So that kind of goes down in there. So it would require us to have like more of like a like some kind of tunnel or something like that that goes that direction. Well, so it was like 1.8. So let's just say 2 meters tall is the height. There are a lot very square, like kind of like entrances to things. Just grab that bottom and yeah. Just more of an angle, I suppose. It's like a kind of like a tunnel going into the mountain here. We don't need to know where it goes, but it goes somewhere. And probably taking this, let's see, like a Boolean here. And if we bool that, we hit union, intersect, difference, fast, exact. What does that do for us? So that just cuts a hole. I kind of want it to... Sometimes you can get it to bug out and do that for you. So like... Oh, it kind of only added it to that part. That's not... That's like almost exactly what I wanted, but backwards. I mean, the one thing we could do, honestly, is... You could do fast, apply that, and then with this guy, all you have to do is just delete these vertices. And honestly, you're deleting these vertices too. I don't know why it added them on this side, but what you're doing is you're basically just creating that hole. and then you take this and then join it. You join them together. All right, there you go. And then you then take this left wall here, and we're just going to start merging all of this stuff together. So not that, but this. We're just creating a floor. There you go. And then you're going to create the ceiling, but we're going to do this wall first, just because it's going to be easier. And then you're going to do the ceiling. Shade smooth by angle. There we go. There you go. Now you've got yourself a lovely kind of like hangar or something like that, like a tunnel that we're building into this wall. Which is good. All right. So there's like all those trees there. We're probably going to want some like overgrowth trees to happen here as well, kind of like to cover up the seam, which we'll get to. But as you see, we're just kind of blocking this out. Normally we would have like reference photos or whatever for the production that we're working on. So like we can start using that as like our basis. Maybe there's concept art or something like that you're working with the filmmaker on. But for us, we're just kind of going through and, you know, lining up stuff where we want it. I feel like these stairs feel a little out of place right now. So we kind of need to, you know, maybe do something to them. But this is where we can start adding in, you know, like different stuff. But this is just layout. So like right now, this eventually will be a tank. But for right now, it's just like a cube sitting there. And our guys are just running into our scene. I don't know what this is really right now. So let's just delete that. I think eventually we'll come up with a wall design, because this will just be like art or more artistic on the walls. Wow, hey guys, we hit 1.91 thousand subscribers. Thank you so much. If you guys are new here, by the way, I'm Connor. I'm a VFX supervisor at Hollywood. This is not my day job. I normally do compositing work, and I work in on feature films. But I do these live streams once a week. So this week we're working on a CG set extension shot from an Action VFX practice footage library shot. So if you guys like this kind of thing, hit the subscribe button below. We're on a road to hit 2,000 subscribers. Slowly but surely we will get there. Will we add like another tank on the inside of this over here? I don't know how I feel about this edge of the kind of environment on this side. I do think that we like need to have some kind of reason. There's no reason for this. It just kind of like goes into it. Let's look at some more reference photos. Winging it's hard, man. Add a damage tank and not damage tank. How do you mean? Why is there no more results? Just a bunch of quarries. I like that. That's cool. It's all pretty basic buildings. It's nothing crazy. Do think stuff like that could be cool. Yeah, okay. So let's see. With this, let's do like another vertex here and just am I going to model the quarry? No, I'm using the what we'll be doing is we'll be projecting quite a bit of the real quarry onto like areas like here with the gray area, and even here. And then we'll be blending in some CG elements, like adding in some more shrubbery and bushes. Like I think this is going to be all real quarry, and then we're going to have more of a building structure here. I'm just kind of doing layout right now of where I would like or imagine different parts of the actual structure to exist. And then next week, we're going to go in and actually do quite a bit of the modeling on it. It's going to be a multi-week shot for sure. More of a dive into the world of like set extension, I think. It's also kind of like a interesting design, like more futuristic as well. You just saw the Dead Cow VFX site. I just realized that you made a helicopter shot that Action VFX has on video on their website. Yeah, literally the first thing you see when you go to their website. Where is that at? It's like, that's my shot. Yeah, I did that last year. Damn, that was last year, guys, because they launched the 3D store. They launched the 3D store on Black Friday, like last year. So they asked me to do that shot, and I had like a week or so to do it. Hey, Keysign, welcome to the chat. Yeah, so I've had their tank because I'm gonna use their tank, but I've just never used it. I have a couple of their 3D models. I just haven't had a chance to like really do anything with it yet. Okay, I think that works for the seam of that. So if I grab that and just hide it now, awesome. So this is going to be kind of like a building edge here, I think. We'll have that go back. And then as far as this goes, this should be then where that is. And that should be like that. Oh, it's feeling a lot better, guys. So this will kind of like be more mountainous up to this point, and then that's going to be like a building or something like that they're running up towards with the tank on the ground in front of it. Am I going to put some explosions a shot? I wasn't planning on it. But who knows? Maybe we will. Maybe we'll get crazy, guys. I don't know. How long do you guys want this shot to be? I mean, we could do this for multiple weeks. You know, depends on how complex the shot is. The more things you add to it, it's like the longer the weeks. I guess it doesn't really matter to most of you guys. It's not like matters the more content as much as like adding cool stuff to it. You know.
Yeah, that's pretty sweet. Mm-hmm. Go ahead and save that. I'm gonna also close this. We don't need to save this. I'm gonna say for this week, guys, as far as blocking is concerned and like all of that stuff, this is what we've got so far. I know we've got a long ways to go, but from coming from this shot to tracking it and to starting layout and stuff like that, I think this is pretty sweet. We're going to next week get into doing some more modeling and stuff like that. You know what, Okaisido? I do like the idea of adding some explosions in. Maybe we'll do that. We've got some. I think we have some 3D explosions from Action VFX's website, so maybe we'll throw one of those in or something like that. That could happen, kind of like behind them or something, as they're running towards kind of like this tank here. I think that adds like a pretty cool story element to this whole shot. But as we slowly build it out, maybe we can make it feel more like kind of like what I was thinking as I was working on this is it's kind of like the Captain America when the first Avenger, when they go to like that World War, is that World War One? I suppose that's World War One kind of like bunker area with where Hydra's at. It's kind of like that. Like maybe we model this to feel a little more futuristic in certain areas, and then also still have some of those like old tanks like the Panzer, like World War II Panzer or something like that, where it does feel kind of like these guys are on this like kind of weird sci-fi mission thing or whatever, and it takes place in old kind of maybe maybe this is the Hydra. All right, we're doing the Hydra like kind of base location or something like that. So there's a lot of creativity we could do with this shot, and if you guys are down for me doing like multiple weeks of working on this one kind of shot, then let me know. I don't want to bore you guys, so if like you guys get tired of stuff, that's why I usually try to get things done weekly rather than spending weeks and weeks and weeks on stuff. But you know what? If that's what you guys want, then we can totally do that too. I will remind you guys, these project files are going up on Patreon. So if you guys want to grab this and then start working on your own shot, then that would be awesome. It can help support the channel. You also get a shout out inside of the live streams and all that stuff, as far as having your name on the screen and all that. And that's pretty cool. And these project files will be up in the next like 15 minutes or so. You also get probably the cut downs. I haven't been uploading the part 1s, part 2s type thing. Ben edits these like weekly. I just don't usually upload those, but maybe I should start doing that because I think that would be better for you guys. And I just put on YouTube all the compilations of like every single stream we do as like a cut down, but Ben chops them up into like individual videos. So maybe I'll start doing that. I didn't want to clutter things, but it is what it is. Hit the subscribe button, the like button below. It tells the YouTube algorithm. Wow, I'm going on forever on these advertisement things. But hey, you guys have a great rest of your day. I don't want to bother you guys too much more, but you guys have a great rest of your day. Stay creating. I'll see you guys over on the Discord, which link for that is also in the description. Wow, I got so many links in the description. It's kind of crazy, man. No, but thank you for your time, Okaisido. I appreciate it. You guys have so much fun doing what you do. Bye.